short time. Ordinarily now, between 10 to 30 minutes, when you launch anything through that system, we can be able to render the service at a very fast rate. And we are also engaged in industry on a continuous basis to see how best to continue tuning the regulatory framework to the requirements of industry. Thank you very much.
Also, Communications Authority, on that line of rapid changes in technology, you could also tell us what emerging issues are coming up and policy changes in telecommunications. Thank you.
Thank you. As I indicated earlier, the Communications Authority of Kenya licensed the platform which can be used for filming. At the moment, we have 289 free-to-air television licensees. So if you're a filmmaker and you want a platform, there is more than sufficient. We also have around TV service providers so far licensed. So this provides platform for you. And for us who want content in our own language, so far we have licensed at least 26 vernacular stations. So if you want, it's possible for you to do content in a vernacular language. And then we've also licensed 4 foreign languages, and of course our national languages, English and Kiswahili. In terms of emerging issue, one of the things that we are seeing from our end is the desire for people to go niche programming. People are moving away from general programming to specific. So as a filmmaker, you can focus your film to a specific category of people, specific issue. The people like documentaries. There's a lot of need because we have a lot of platform where you can air your content, where your content can get viewership. Of course, courtesy of the Communications Authority of Kenya. So by and large, what I'm sharing is that yes, it is possible. What looked impossible in the other years past is now possible. You can market your product, and also courtesy of digital migration, it's possible for you to apply and get your own TV station license. The process is straightforward, it is possible. Now, the other emerging issue that we have seen from our end is that there is a migration of people from the traditional TV station to online. So most people want to enjoy their programming online. So the challenge is for us to be able to have great content, film content, that is easily accessible even on the online platform. As indicated by my colleague, Mr. Wambua, with regard to online content, we are working together with them on that framework of being able to classify online content so that even our people who go to online to enjoy the programming, they are protected. But that's where people are going. We are moving also away from waiting to watch TV at 7. We want to watch TV anytime, anywhere, using any device, including our mobile phone. And that is the reality. So even our film content, we should be able to make it in such a way that we can be able to enjoy it anywhere, any place, with any device. I know most of us, you have tried Netflix, and you're able to log into Netflix with any device. That's where we are going, and that is the challenge. And even as regulators, we need to change how we've been regulating so that we do not prevent technology from going forward. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So there's an issue in the film bill. The draft bill was on incentives. An issue came up about incentives and what incentives can be offered to stimulate and promote growth in the sector. So we can hear from KRA about the current framework on incentives, tax incentives, and then Mr. Wase, you can also tell us what the Commission is doing in terms of getting incentives put in place.
Thank you very much. And as representative from KRA, all of us know the mandate of what role KRA plays. That is basically to collect taxes, assess taxes on income, and on imports, and any goods or services that are coming into the country at prescribed law and in accordance with the prescribed acts or written laws. Now, as far as the film industry is concerned, I wish to clarify here and maybe say it that CARE as an organization does not regulate the film industry, but it plays a very critical role in ensuring that whatever comes in and whatever comes out has been approved and licensed by the regulatory bodies. We have the Kenya Film Board, we have the CCK, that is the Communications Authority, then you also have the Kenya Civil Aviation, like the issue of the drones he talked about, isn't it? And KRA is determined in supporting the film industry in ensuring that the industry is very well promoted. Now, on the issue of incentives, you see, when you are doing any business or like participating or the issue of creating content, either online or importing that content for use in the country, KRA will demand taxes from you. Now, the best that KRA can do is basically to implement laws that have been put in place, and if there are any incentives that must be conferred or inferred on the film industry, then the lobby groups can lobby the National Treasury to provide a framework on which the filmmakers or creators of content can be supported. Let's take, for instance, of the film equipment. Film equipment attracts both import duty and VAT, and KRA may not be in a position to exempt them from this. But if they lobby the National Treasury, KRA will be very much more than willing to support exemption of taxes from this particular importation. There's the creation of online content either for sale, for export, or for local use. That one is going to attract digital service tax. So if the same people can come together as a lobby group and lobby the National Treasury, KRA will be in a position to implement that as provided for. Thank you.
Mr. Wase, you can tell us about the incentives that were proposed in the film bill and what KFC has been doing in terms of tax and fiscal incentives.
Thank you very much. As an organization that is passionate about igniting growth in the local film industry and attracting more international productions in Kenya, we are keen to see that we have, through our ministry, that we have critical policies that will promote the attraction of productions in the country. And this will be done if we have specific incentives that are geared towards the local productions, those incentives that will ignite or accelerate growth in the local film industry, as well as incentives that will be able to attract big budget productions in the country, because we know the more production in the country, then the more benefit the country will be able to achieve. When we talk about film, film is the single most product that will be able to turn around the economic basis of our country. It has other aspects that are not comparable to any other sector. Think about the 47 counties, each being unique in its form, and also cultural differences and so on. But film doesn't know any differences. What it does, it unifies the nation, it brands Kenya, it gives Kenya an opportunity to actually market itself. So with incentives, then we are talking about positioning Kenya as a competitive country to film in as compared to other countries. Because without making Kenya a competitive landscape, then chances are that our competitors will actually be able to take away all the businesses. And when businesses are taken away, that means that we lose jobs, will not be able to create opportunities for our young people who are passionate about working tirelessly in this industry. So when we talk about film incentives, I would like to drive each one of us to the proposed film bill and policy, which has actually put up a background that will be able to stage the National Treasury to apply or put regulations that will be able to enable Kenya Revenue Authority to implement specific incentives or rebates within the industry. And when this is done, we'll be able to ignite the growth of the sector and have more productions taking place, have local content that can be consumed by varied audiences, expand our markets. And of course, when I talk about the film policy is very broad, and it's looking at the entire sector. How we can be able to implement co-production treaties. We are talking about how do we make Kenya a friendlier environment For example, and this again, maybe I'll want my colleague from KRA who will be able to add value to this. When we have a producer coming from Hollywood and he's carrying equipment, and the kind of equipment that are being carried have to go through customs at the airport, how do we ensure that we have a seamless flow of clearing this equipment without having to damage them through passing them through scanning machines? Because some filming equipments are very sophisticated, which means that we have to put a lot of care. So at the Commission, we are working with all these agencies, KRA, KCAA, Kenya Copyright Board, Communications Authority, to just see to it that we are able to actually all play at the same level and contribute towards making filming in Kenya as friendly as possible. Because without making Kenya a friendly filming environment, then we may not be able to compete with our competitors or other players in other countries. We would like to position Kenya as a country where you can be able to produce any kind of film as it's been exhibited over the years.
Carrie, would you like to respond? That question.
Thank you very much. I wish to respond by saying that as KRA, we are on the forefront of ensuring that whatever comes in for filming is given faster clearance. As we speak now, as I sit on this chair, 20 minutes ago before I came to this office, I authorized temporary importation of film equipment consigned to Sana Media Services. We don't want that equipment to go the very many processes at the airport to cause the delays, because this equipment is required on stage on Monday. So instead of that equipment going through the process, the long process of clearance, entry, they do a customs entry, they pay taxes and everything, the owner of the goods simply executes a temporary bond to cover the taxes, the goods are released on prior release, all those other customs processes will progress as the goods are in Kenya or the equipment is in Kenya, proceeding with what is, progressing with what is expected of the equipment in the country. Thank you. And we shall facilitate it.
Okay, thank you. George, maybe we can hear from you about monetization opportunities and what Kekobo is doing.
Okay, thank you so much, Ruth. I'll want to start from this perspective that as Kenya Copyright Board, where are we coming from? And how do we ensure that the industry, you work with content. The most important thing is that we live in a generation that the moment you produce your content, you put it online, it attracts a lot of views. And some go to the extent of even pirating what you have done. So copyright comes in, Kenya Copyright Board comes in to ensure that that work, that content that you have produced, if you are to have it registered with us, then in the event that there is somebody who is infringing on your work, then you can be able to follow it up with us. We do enforce, as I've indicated, that we can be able to ensure that your work, whoever is infringing on your work that is online, the content, that action can be taken because it's provided for in the law. So then the other issue is registration is optional, but in Kenya we encourage the work, copyright work to be created so that it enables you to do a follow-up in the event of infringement. So we are there to do that work, and we have made it so easy so that you can be able to do it online. As I indicated earlier, is that you can be able to go to a National Rights Registry, that's the nrl.copyright.go.ke, and then you follow the steps that are there to have your work registered. Within a maximum of 2 to 3 days, you have your copyright certificate, and then you monitor your work. And the moment you realize that it's being infringed, then you can be able to do what? To come and report it to us. We have the enforcement wing that follows your work. As long as you can be able to come and identify that this is your work that's being infringed, and action will be taken against the infringers. The other thing that we have done, under the Copyright Amendment Act of 2019, we have provisions that provides for the takedown notice. So that can be able, with the government regulators that are stated here, that can be able to be done. And a takedown notice can be issued, and whoever is having the materials that infringes on your work, it can be brought down within 24 hours. So that's why we are here to be able to inform you that the most important thing is that you have your work copyrighted, registered. Though even if it's not registered, still you can come to us for assistance, because that's what we are as an government entity, to assist the creative industry, and more so what the film industry is doing in terms of the audiovisual work. Now, in terms of the incentives, perhaps what I can be able to say is that we do have the corrective management organization, and perhaps in this industry we do not have one that stands in for the audiovisual. And I tend to think that most of the stakeholders in the audiovisual industry, they want to protect or to correct on their own and distribute. But for those who are coming up, I want to encourage the CEO, if you can be able, perhaps, to be able to bring them together and form what we call a corrective management organization dealing with audiovisual industry. In that case, it can be able to help those who are the upcoming filmmakers to be able to get what we call loyalties when it's being done at that particular level. Otherwise, that's in most cases what you're doing to help the industry.
And lastly, Mr. Wasi, maybe you can give us a status update on the film policy and the film bill and where you see it.
Thank you. Before I discuss about the policy and the bill, I would like to contribute to what my brother has talked about, a CMO for the screen sector. I must confirm that this is a timely discussion, because for quite a number of years, the Commission has been championing to have the sector-oriented CMO, collective management organization, that will be able to collect royalties on behalf of filmmakers in various aspects, from directing, producing, all the way to actors. Of course, for actors, there is PRISC, which is already collecting royalties on their behalf, but we still need an audiovisual-oriented CMO so that we are able to cover that particular component, in addition to the physical incentives that the government is currently mooting to have them in place. Then when we talk about the draft film policy and bill, this is a position. We currently have the draft bill, which is currently being championed by the Ministry of ICT, and the intention is to have the same passed so that we have a legal framework that is in tandem with the current trends. Remember, the current legal environment or legislative environment that manages the film industry was actually legislated in 70s, which means there are so many things that have changed as far as when we talk about the Internet of Things, when we talk about technology. We have to have a new regime in terms of management of the sector in order to be able to champion the growth and development of the same. And that's why the Minister of ICT has put in place this draft policy and bill to actually change the current status so that we move to the current level of industry management. So far, of course, it's still in draft form. It has not been passed yet, and we are very hopeful that the same will be passed as soon as possible so that we are able to enjoy the benefits that come with a new regime of managing the film sector. Remember, when we talk about creating an enabling environment, it's not only looking at how best do we do our productions. As the CEO of Kenya Film Commission, I would like to see the film sector contributing to the exchequer, paying taxes to a level where it can be compared to any other manufacturing sector. And that is possible when we have a clear platform for us to actually undertake film business that can thrive. So as we focus into the future, my rallying call is that we have an opportunity, and this opportunity can only be harnessed when we are focused and we conform with the regulations in the country, and that we are actually undertaking this business as real business, other than only focusing on this for fame, because fame cannot be able to feed us. We need to undertake business that can be able to create wealth and also employ as many people as possible. I would like to remind ourselves the environment we are working in is an environment that is transforming very fast in terms of change based on the technological changes. When I was growing up, I used to play with the clay. I would build the tallest house like KICC using clay in order to compete with my fellow youngsters. Today, the same kind of game has been moved to software development. So I'm encouraging parents that as we champion the growth of the screen sector, let us do this with a view of the future and create wealth for this nation through technology. Of course, this will be enhanced when all of us here at the front or on this panel, we are actually working together and we are focusing on proper stakeholder engagement that is geared towards excellent service delivery to all filmmakers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So there's one more question before we open it up to the floor. Emil, maybe you could tell us what creatives can do to help support your institution, if there's any.
Yeah, there's a lot of creativity because, as I mentioned, some of the requests we get, many people, while they want to use drones as a platform to shoot films, and we encourage that. However, when I mentioned that an aircraft, just as an example, an aircraft that costs, let's say, $45 million, 80% of that is the cost of the engines. And now you can imagine that small drone can go into one of those engines, like happened last week, not a drone but a bird, and the engine is written off. So there's a danger. And so for anybody who wants to use, that's why there's the regulation side to ensure the safety. And for anyone who wants to use a drone as a platform to understand the different types of airspace, in terms of restricted airspace, like over State House, you can't fly over there, of course, for security reasons. And so that's where we are, the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, to work with all other agencies to ensure, like has been said by everyone, we facilitate the growth of the industry, we facilitate you to carry out your exercise, but we also ensure that you learn the skills and capacities and competencies that are required to do it safely. Like just this morning, KQ opened Fahari drone cage in Embakasi. Also, that's to help in training for people who really want to go and get that training to proceed to Kenya Airways. As KCA, we've licensed 12 drone operators, commercial operators in the country, and there are 9, now 10 schools, including Fahari. So again, that collaboration, by working together, all the agencies and also with all the stakeholders, you'll help us help you to achieve what you need to. Thank you.
Mr. Wambua, what support can creatives give, whether it's through your programs, participating by giving their views or input into the guidelines you develop? What else can be done?
Yes, thank you. For us, I think what we require industry, or from the industry, is actually compliance with the laws that are in place. For instance, if you wish to participate in filmmaking, please make sure that you acquire the requisite licenses from us. If you have a cinema hall, please get a license from us. If you're a distributor, also get the licenses from us so that you operate your business in a legitimate manner and within the confines of the law. Secondly, we do all the stakeholder engagement from time to time. We wish to encourage industry players and creatives actually to participate in these engagements so that you can help us refine the regulatory framework so that we can facilitate and enable the continued growth of this vibrant sector in the country. We have, as you are aware, we are now managing the Nairobi Film Center, which was the former Nairobi Cinema. And the reason why you can also use that screen